Not to disappoint you, but most badges you see on your favorite cars are not as transparent as you think they are. Today I'll be showing you which automakers own your favorite car brands. My name is Christian and this is Vehicle Virals. Make sure to subscribe for weekly automotive content. Let's begin. When you think of James Bond, which car brand comes to mind? That's right, Aston Martin. Today, Aston Martin isn't owned by a larger automaker, but don't think it was always that way. It was once under Ford and then sold to a group of investors in 2007. One key investor was Mercedes-Benz parent company, Daimler. The tie-in with Mercedes now gives Aston Martin access to AMG engines for its latest sports cars. Sweet deal. Moving on. BMW, and for you guys that didn't know, it stands for Bayerische Motorenwerk. It's German for Bavarian Motorworks. BMW owns two automobile brands, Mini, which was relaunched in 2001, and Rolls-Royce, which was acquired in 2002. You can even see some BMW influences in the Rolls-Royce Ghost sedan. Next one on the list. Does the automaker Daimler AG ring a bell? It probably doesn't, but at the same time it probably does, because I just mentioned it when I talked about Aston Martin. I know for sure it didn't ring a bell for me when I first did my research. Its original name was Daimler-Benz before it transitioned over to the new name Daimler AG in 1998. They own all of Mercedes divisions such as the Benz, the AMG, and the Maybach. They also own Smart. You remember seeing those tiny cars on the road? They could basically pop a U-turn in one lane. Daimler also owns truck companies such as Freightliner. Alright, let's move on to Fiat, that was founded in 1899. It is Italy's largest auto manufacturer and also one of the oldest automakers in the world. They mainly produced railroad engines, tractors, and airplane engines until 1950, where they then offered a full lineup of cars. Enough with the boring stuff. Which car companies do they control? Well, here they are. Abarth, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and Chrysler, which was acquired after filing bankruptcy in 2011. With Chrysler comes all of their brands as well, such as Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. That's right, that means the ultra-powerful Hellcat is also under Fiat. You think that's impressive? Wait till you see the last automaker on this list. Make sure and watch the whole video. The next automaker was actually under Fiat back in the day. That is before it ended up separating from its parent company in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, Ferrari, once known as Fiat's crown jewel, is now independent and known as a symbol of speed, luxury, and wealth. Yep, the next car company revolutionized the use of assembly lines for cars. Its iconic car, the Model T, is widely considered the first massively available automobile. Any guesses? If you guessed Ford, then you're correct. Ford owned and had major stakes in Land Rover, Mazda, Mercury, Aston Martin, just like stated before, Volvo, and Jaguar. All those brands were either sold or shut down, and the only brand they currently own is Lincoln. The next automaker company downsized quite a bit after filing for bankruptcy back in 2009. You might have heard about them in the news. I mean, I couldn't miss them, they were all over the web at the time. That is General Motors, known as GM. The car brands they currently own are Buick, Cadillac, Chevrolet, GMC, and Holden, a brand only distributed in Australia. This next automaker was known as the new kid on the block back when it was founded in 1948. Honda, named after one of the company's founder, Soichiro Honda. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. I remember during my teenage years encountering Honda owners making fun of Acura owners and vice versa, but all it took was to pop open the hood of an Acura Integra to expose the Honda branding under the hood. Their reactions? Priceless. Moving on to Hyundai, whatever you want to call it. Based in South Korea, it launched its first car in cooperation with Ford in 1968. Today, Hyundai owns a good chunk of Kia, its key competitor. You know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. The two share many parts among their production, such as engines and transmissions. One interesting move that Hyundai recently did was to branch out its Genesis model to a sub-brand of its own, Genesis Motors. The next on the list is Mazda. The name originates from Ahura Mazda, an Iranian god. That's a cool fact, isn't it? Once known as a company that manufactured tools, eventually expanded to automobiles in 1930. The only ties it ever had with any other automaker was when Ford owned 1/3 of the company, but later on went on to sell its shares, which means Mazda is independently owned. Moving on to one of my favorite automakers of all time, McLaren, a British firm known for building fast, sexy sports cars. But hey, that's not all. They also run a Formula 1 team in a division named Applied Technologies, which make a unique selection of products such as bicycles, medicine, and even solar panels. And yes, McLaren is independently owned. Now let's talk about Mitsubishi. Many might not know, but Mitsubishi Corporation is actually Japan's largest general trading market. What is general trading market, you ask? I'm glad you asked. According to Wikipedia, businesses working with different type of products which are sold for consumer, business, or government purposes. Mitsubishi became a car maker in 1970 and remained independent for a long time, but now it's controlled by Renault-Nissan Alliance. Talking about Renault-Nissan, they actually own 43% of Nissan. As many of you guys probably already know, Nissan runs its luxury focused division, Infiniti. Before I confirmed that this was true, I already had a hunch that they were closely related. The same hunch I get when I see a CVS and a Walgreens and an Advanced Auto Parts and an AutoZone. Nissan recently revived Datsun in order to sell economy cars to emerging markets. They also own the Romanian car market Dacia and hold controlling stakes in Mitsubishi, like mentioned previously. Not really much to say about the following automaker company, and that is Saab. One unique thing is that they specialize in aerospace and defense manufacturing. As far as automobiles, they're not doing too hot. Saab isn't quite dead, but it's not doing too well. The following car maker is Subaru. They're doing quite well for themselves, I would say, by setting a new annual sales record for 10 consecutive years. And if you consider that they are, for the most part, independent, you have to admit that's quite impressive. I say most part because Toyota owns 16% of Subaru. Have you ever heard of Tada? Or Tata? Not sure which way to say it. Well, it's a company that currently owns Jaguar and Land Rover that they purchased from Ford back in 2008. According to most, Tata's fame came when it released its Nano vehicle for $2,500. I mean, look at it. What is that? The Nano was originally created to lead India's middle class away from motorcycles. Sadly, the Nano had many issues and it failed to hit its target by a long shot. Now let's talk about Tesla. There's not really much to say other than it was founded by a group of engineers back in 2003. Their cars are currently manufactured in Fremont, California and remain independent from any other larger automaker. The company recently outlines plans for a new semi-truck, a super fast roadster, and a new crossover called the Model Y. Moving on to Toyota, one of the largest automobile manufacturers in the world. They own Lexus, Datsun, and Hino Motors. You might also remember the Scion brand that was also under the Toyota umbrella. Remember the boxy car, the XB, and the Scion TC? Scion cars were targeted towards the youth, but after slow sales, Toyota ultimately decided to close the blinds for the Scion in 2016. The following Swedish automaker was founded back in 1927, known as Volvo. It was purchased by a Chinese firm from Ford, following a huge time investment and money to update the Volvo lineup. And for the most part it paid off. Now Volvo stands as an independent automaker company. I might have just saved the best for last. And this next automaker has to have one of the best lineups of brands under their belt. It blows me away just thinking about it. The automaker is Volkswagen. And for those that didn't know, it means people's car in German. They quickly rose to the top thanks to its Beetle selling well worldwide. It is also one of the biggest automakers in the world. Ready to be blown away? Let's go. They own Audi, Bentley, Porsche, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Seat, Skids, MAN Trucks, Scania, and Ducati. Impressive. Well guys, that was it. I hope you guys found that entertaining and informative at the same time. If you liked the video, make sure and hit that like button. And I want to know, comment below, what's your favorite car? And don't forget to subscribe. I have new automotive content every single week. Hope you all have a good day. I'll see you guys next time.